Well, we've talked about it a lot here on Wind Tunnel, the banner crop of rookies in the NTT IndyCar side of things. And I'm pleased to have making his very first appearance on the Wind Tunnel podcast, David Malukas. And David, you picked a hell of a year to decide to chase for Rookie of the Year titles in IndyCar. I can't recall as great a crop of rookies as the class of 2022. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, first of all. But yeah, no, I mean, I joined a very intense year, let alone just the sport I chose. I chose such a competitive sport. I mean, inside, outside of the rookie competition, everybody's just so good. And I mean, yeah, I'm pushing 110% just to get the most out of the car.
You alluded to the fact that this is your choice. You decided to choose this discipline of racing. So what went into that thought process?
Well, I started when I was 7 years old in go-karting, and at that time, I didn't think anything of it. Just having fun at the go-kart track with my dad, and then never took anything seriously. But as time went on, we kept going, kept going. We fell in love with it, and we didn't realize it then, but we were addicted already. And we just kept going up the ranks, and I ended up got my first win, and from that point on, I mean, there was no stopping us. We were going to go all the way till the end, and fast forward, and it wasn't until I'd say about 2015 is when I realized, like, we're going fully into this, and I want to make it all the way to IndyCar.
Anybody in any sport, when they start at a very young age, they can suffer from myopia. And what I mean by that is far too many sacrifices in real world items in events because you're so focused on what your ultimate goal is. How did David Malukas and his family navigate through those type of rough waters?
Well, yeah, I mean, my parents were fully committed to me. So, being the only boy and the youngest child, I was definitely the most spoiled.
Oh, come on.
And
I'm the
yeah.
oldest of seven. You're the youngest. My youngest sibling, he got everything that I never got. You're not going to gain sympathy from me.
Okay, well, but I mean, they put their all into me, I mean, so much money, so much time. I mean, put it all into me. And from my end, it's like I can see how much effort they're putting in, and I only want to return that favor. And of course, I also love the sport and want to achieve my dream. So it was kind of, you need to make sure that on both ends, that from my parents' end and from my end, we both wanted to get this done. And we had to make a lot of things, for my parents, like I said, they had to make a lot of commitment, and for me, I had to quit a lot of other things. I left public school. I was homeschooled, ended up going to Europe and lived there by myself in places like Germany where I didn't even speak the language. And I know, I mean, I went there when I was like 13 years old. So 13 years old by myself, trying to, like, live. I'm used to just my mom being there and always leeching off of her, like, okay, clean that, feed me this, feed me that. And then all of a sudden I get sent over there, and now I'm like, wait, how do I have to live? Which at 13 years old was actually very helpful. I think I matured quite a bit in that period. And I mean, yeah, along the way, lost a lot of friends because I wasn't at school anymore.
Yeah.
And, it's just putting a lot of effort into go-karting. I played many different sports and did many different things and hobbies, and kind of ended up quitting all of that just to fully focus on racing.
Too many people focus on the success and don't really pay attention to the journey that it takes to get to even where you are now, about to embark on a long and illustrious professional career at the highest level of open wheel racing. So I wonder, in those moments, whether it was while you were alone in Germany or while you were climbing up the ladder, did David Malukas ever have to sit down and remind himself that while the cost was high, the rewards were going to be even greater?
Yeah, there's definitely periods, where, I mean, many times along the path where, it's like, man, it's, my parents are struggling quite a bit to get all this done, and there's a lot of pressure on me. Like, man, do I just want to be a normal kid and just biggest problem is how to ride my bike to school, and just not have to worry about all of this. But I've spoke to my parents about that so many times along the way, and every single time we always came to the conclusion that it's so worth it. And even if we tried to get away from it, like I said, we're just so addicted to the sport, to everything around it, that we just can't get away from it. So yeah, it's definitely, it's a rough but bumpy ride, but I mean, I think that's what makes it, the journey, and now, being in IndyCar, that much better, is just looking back.
want to talk a little bit about a term that is used a lot in racing, and that's polishing one's racecraft. Racecraft is kind of what you do to get to the point where it becomes embedded in your muscle memory. So, from your perspective, as you've moved up the ladder, and now that you're in IndyCar, where are the areas that you really want to put your laser-like focus on, and what elements of the racecraft do you think you have much room for improvement?
It's everything that's come new to me this season in IndyCar with pit stops and tire strategy and fuel saving. I mean, these are things that I haven't done my whole career. With driving and reaching a car to its maximum, I can do that. I can,
Yeah.
I learned it, after, let's say St. Pete. And I think by the time we got to Long Beach, I realized how to push the maximum of the red tires and get the most out of it in qualifying. But it's just the racing part, it's also very new to me, these long races, tire stints. And, because in my perspective, it's like, hey, we need to save fuel. We need to save tires. All of a sudden I start losing positions. And in my mind, I'm like, no, this is bad. We're going backwards. But, I need to kind of understand that, we do a pit stop, we come out, and all of a sudden I'm ahead of all those people again. And, we've just gained like 6 positions. So it was kind of trying to get used to all of that and like learning more into how all the strategy works and talk with my engineer. So on track, I can kind of make those decisions as well, because they're kind of going off of my feedback. And, if my feedback's not good, then we might make the wrong decision. So the last couple of races, it's been definitely getting better. But in my rookie season, that's been the hardest thing to kind of grasp.
Are you your biggest critic in your rookie season?
Yeah, definitely 100%. Yeah. Any little mistake I'll make, I'll definitely critique it like hell. And Luke Varley, kind of, he's my coach slash therapist slash kind of everything. He's always been with me. And, he always tells me, he's like, now you got to just stop dwelling on these things. Like, they're going to happen, nobody's perfect and you need to move on. But from my end, it's if I just feel like I need to dwell on it so I don't make that mistake again.
17 races in a season. And for a rookie season, I've always been of the opinion that the first half of the year, you deserve the term rookie. But at this point, as we get ready to embark on the second half, you aren't a rookie anymore. Do you feel that?
Yeah, you kind of hit it right on the nose. Going into these last, especially after the month of May, I mean, there was so much testing and you do the 500. I definitely don't feel like a rookie anymore. And, going into these races, I'm definitely understanding everything that's going on. I'm not, getting all nervous just going into first practice and, how everything works with all the timing and, learning the respect of the other drivers and how they do things. I finally kind of gotten a swing of all that. So I definitely we've surpassed the level of rookie.
David, take me inside your race team, because one thing I remember when Dale Coyne used to arrive with a stock block Chevrolet in IndyCar competition, towing it on an open trailer. This guy is a racer through and through, successful Chicago businessman. But what is it about being part of Dale Coyne Racing that, unless you are part of it, you don't know?
Well, for me, it's amazing because I live 20 minutes away from the shop. I can always stop by, and the most important thing in racing that, not many people talk about, I think, is the chemistry that you have with the team. And from the mechanics to the engineers to my coach and the managers, everybody, it works so well. It's such a friendly team. And I knew I had to go with Dale Coyne Racing, especially for my rookie season, as soon as I did the first test, because I was so nervous. I mean, IndyCar first time, I'm overthinking everything. And they just, they made it feel like home. And they just said, listen, it's just another race car. Just go out there. It's no big deal. And from that point on, I knew it was definitely the best way for me to go forward in the season to stay calm. And I mean, as the season's gone on, even with Takuma Sato as my teammate, just everybody's bonding so well with each other, and it's just a blast. We can finish last, we can finish first. I just don't care. I'm having so much fun with the team.
You brought it up, having Taku, a 2-time Indy 500 champion, as your fellow driver on the team. It's got to be an incredible resource for you to drill into. So how pestering are you of your fellow driver, whether it's a new track or an old track? How much do you try to wring out of Takuma in terms of knowledge so that you can be better?
Yeah, definitely any chance I get, I'll always ask him a question for even like the most slightest things. But he's been very open. I mean, he's given me so much more information than I was ever expecting. And he now I feel like we kind of have a trust with each other. We can try different setups with the car. And our driving styles are actually very similar, which is just works very well. So I can, with the short 2 practice sessions that we have, I can do a
Yeah.
different change from him and I can give him the feedback. And with together, we can make a decision. So by the time qualifying comes, we've made a big step with the car, and I think that really showed in Detroit. I mean, we both of us managed to make it into the Fast Six when in practice one we weren't really there, but we just really worked with each other and the team to get the car where it needed to be. And I mean, especially in the ovals, he just has so much knowledge. Like I just watch his video and I'm like, wow, like he is just everything he does, you can just tell it's thought of, it's planned, and it's when for me in my perspective, something's happened and I kind of just go off of, reaction instead of thinking and just do, that's kind of what Yoda said. So I'm just using Yoda's knowledge, but I try to get everything out of him. But he's been so helpful. I still think he's keeping, little tips and tricks to himself, but I think every driver should. You don't want to give all the cards.
Well, you got to squeeze them. You got to squeeze them. Remember,
yeah,
like he preaches, no attack, no chance, whether it's trying to get knowledge or out on the racetrack. So do you embrace no attack, no chance at this ultimate level?
I mean, you have to, especially for qualifying. I mean, in Detroit, I've never pushed the car harder than in my life. Those laps I did to get into the Fast Six, I was pushing the limit, leaving no track, no room, and it was just enough to get us up there. And it truly just shows, how competitive this sport is. If I didn't push turn 5 all the way to the wall, we would have lost 2 tenths, and that's it. We wouldn't have made the first group. It's so. And that's what I realized. And, after St. Pete, I was like, wow, I chose a super competitive sport to be in. So it's a kind of a love-hate relationship there, because every time I go out, I know I'm going to be sweating and giving it my all.
We have a great and very bright and long-lasting future. Do appreciate your visiting with us. But before I say goodbye, tell me one thing, not racing related, one thing that is on David Malukas's bucket list, whether it's a place to go visit, just one thing that's not motorsports oriented, because you spend 24/7 365 on motorsport. I gotta figure there's something back there that you say to yourself, if I ever get the chance, I want to fill in the blank for me.
Yeah, I have a big interest in. I'll give two answers.
Okay.
So when I was in England, I absolutely fell in love with soccer, or football is what they call it over there. And I've always wanted to go see a soccer game over there. I heard it's such a special kind of environment, so I'd love to go see that. But kind of stepping completely away from sports, I would love to go see the SpaceX facility. I really enjoy space and rockets and all that stuff. So I think any exploration in that sense, I would love to go see any sort of museums, or just seeing even the old Apollo rockets at NASA, any sort of space, or maybe even seeing the sky with no light pollution, seeing the night sky with all the stars and the Milky Way. I think that's something that's definitely on my bucket list. I would love to do.
Well, I think the Premier League and attending will be in your future somewhere, but I'm going to captain the campaign. We have to get you to space camp. All right. We'll let you get the feel, put the suit on, everything else, because you know what? You're really not that old. So you could masquerade as a young teenager just enrolling in space camp in Huntsville, Alabama. How about that?
That would be very cool. I would definitely take you up on that offer.
All right, I'm on it. Hey, David, thanks so much. Look forward to the rest of the season and cheering you and Dale Coyne Racing on.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.